NRL Fantasy round 25 buy, hold, sell. It is a big week for fantasy, but not a lot of trades going around right now. So there's probably not a lot for us to talk about on trades. Saying that, I want everyone here to comment below how many trades do you have left right now. If you have zero, don't be shy. Don't let anyone shame you. I've got one, but I'm probably going to have zero after this week. It's all good. Drop that comment below. How many trades do you have left? Now, this week's episode is going to be a bit different to most weeks. Now, because we don't have trades to burn, we don't have those buys to do. The real questions this week are, can we trust our guns? Are there any reasons for high or low performances? And what should we do with Payne Haas? So I'm going to go through the top guys this week, talk about their matchups, talk about the scores last week, and whether there's anything to be concerned about. First one here, Nathan Cleary, 63 last week. We're fine with that. He's that guy. 63 is his automatic score. He has the Gold Coast this week. They're a team that can put up some points, but they've got a very inexperienced spine lining up this week. So no Tanner Boyd, no Sam Verrills, no AJ Brimson, no Kieran Foran. You got Jaden Campbell in at 6, Keeney at fullback. It's going to be an absolute roll here. I think Penrith will destroy the Titans. And if Cleary doesn't rack up some attacking stats, he could struggle in this game. So there's actually reasons not to captain him this week. Whether there's upside there if he gets the attacking stats, but I think he'll be off the field by the 60th minute in that game. So I'm a bit sus on Cleary. Next one we got here, Shaun Johnson. We're just going to work our way down the numbers here. Shaun Johnson got 51 last week against the Tigers. Manly is a really nice matchup. I've liked the Manly matchup all year. They're a bit of a weaker defensive side with a lot of attacking upside. I think they'll put on a performance against the Warriors. They fought hard against Penrith last week. Saying that, Shaun Johnson had a quad injury last week. He didn't take all the goal kicks. Keep an eye on that. Look, you're going to start him if you have him. It's a good matchup, and you're going to start him. But he's not a guy you're going to captain this week with that injury. I would skip him for captaincy, leave him into the lineup. Next guy, Nico Hines. And look, we talked about Nico Hines last week having a good matchup, but his average is about 10 to 15 points lower when Brendan Trindle plays. It's also a Cowboys team this week. So he's a bit sus for captaincy as well. I'm actually looking at this, and there aren't that many great captaincy options this week. Cleary probably edges out Hines for me just because the Cowboys could destroy the Sharks. But at the same time, the Cowboys are a bit weak right now with no Val Holmes, and they're missing a couple of other guys. So we'll see how that goes. Isaiah Yeo, again, look, Penrith are probably going to roll the Titans. Isaiah Yeo hasn't been getting rested much this year. So start him. He's getting 80 minutes most weeks. I think they'll give him a whole game rest, rather than a big rest in the game, if they're going to do that. But I don't think they're going to do that this week. So, look, Isaiah Yeo, he's a starter. That's an easy choice there. Payne Haas. Now, what are you going to do with Payne Haas? If you don't have Isaiah Yeo, then buy Isaiah Yeo, saying that he will miss round 27. So that's probably more advice for head-to-head coaches. With Payne Haas, I think he's actually a keep. Unless you have 3+ trades, you're probably looking at next week, which is the head-to-head finals, and you're thinking, all right, well, next week you get Payne Haas back, but you don't have Cam Murray. You don't have Damien Cook. You don't have Latrell Mitchell. You don't have Kaloa Matangi. Maybe you have Cody Walker or Campbell Graham. Souths don't play next week, and I think that's much more brutal. I think you can handle no Payne Haas this week, but if you can't, you need to move him. One guy everyone's talking about is Tino Fa'a Sua Malaawi. Tino, big Tino. Look, Tino is a beast. Tino's a beast, and my lack of pronunciation of his name is nothing against him. It's all against me. 57.3 is his yearly average, but his last 5 has been a lot higher than that. He just keeps scoring tries. My concern here is that they verse Penrith. My concern here is that they've got a pretty weak spine going to this game. And my concern here is that Tino could play less minutes and maybe take this game a little less seriously. Not that he does that, but if they're down by a lot, then it just doesn't work well for Tino in terms of scoring. He's not a Cam McInnes who's going to make 85 tackles. He's a guy who produces real impactful attacking plays instead, and maybe he won't have the opportunity to do that versus Penrith. So I'm a little sus on him. Right now, he's the top option for Haas. Obviously, Yo is better, but you probably have Yo already, so Tino could be a big pod for you. Or maybe he won't be a pod at this point. Jermaine Hopgood's another guy here. Look, if you don't have Hopgood, don't buy Hopgood, 828K. He's named on the edge this week. I don't know how that's going to impact his fantasy performances. Parramatta edge-back rowers do well. I can say that. Jermaine Hopgood has great attacking work rate, pretty strong defensive work rate, so you're not going to lose much on the edge in terms of that. He produces a lot of offloads, but if he plays 80 minutes, he could be the same guy as he is now. The question is whether he plays 80 minutes and whether that is actually the lineup for Parramatta on the weekend, because we would see Madison move into the starting side instead. We've got Offa Hengawi starting at lock as well, so there's too many questions there. If you have Hopgood, I think you probably start him and keep him. But if you don't have him, I'm not rushing to bring him in. And let's go to the next guy here, Caitlin Ponga, our savior, our good man. Caitlin Ponga, he got a rest for about 15 minutes in that last game, and he still got 53 points. So he's that guy. South Sydney this week, it sounds like a tough matchup, but it isn't really that tough. Like, Souths are conceding quite a few points. I think the Knights are probably better on form right now. I think the Knights have a lot of strength in the forward pack compared to Souths as well. I think Ponga is probably going to find some gaps in this defensive line, and just start him with ease. Like, don't worry about him too much. He's an easy one for you. Scotty Drinkwater is one where you probably sold him off. Like, that 10.1% that he's got there is not really indicative. If you still have him, I mean, he's got Cronulla this week. I think he's a bit of a league below some of the other guys we're talking about, like Ponga. But he's sort of on par with a guy like Tedesco, for example, this week. So, look, Cronulla's not a bad matchup. If you got him, he's your pod, ride or die. Carrigan is interesting. I think Carrigan will get a rest a bit more down the stretch of this season. He's got the bye this week as well. I think Carrigan is a little different to Haas, in that Haas is that top flight gun. Carrigan is more replaceable. So I'd be selling Carrigan before I sold Haas, even though it's a bit less money, but it's worth doing. Dave Fifita. Look for Fifita versus Penrith this week. He relies on those big attacking stats. Saying that, he's kind of a guy who can go down swinging a bit, in that he might throw 4 or 5 offloads in this game, maybe take some sideways runs, get some of those sort of useless stats and rack up a big score that way. There's also a chance that he gets rested in this game, and the Titans have been giving him more rests since they got eliminated from finals contention. So for Dave Fifita, I'm keeping him, I'm starting him, but I wouldn't buy him right now. I think the Panthers and the Storm next 2 weeks is not great for him, especially with where the Titans are right now. Cam McInnes, 88 points. Oh, he had his 85 tackles recently as well. I had Ryan Madison versus Cam McInnes in a cash head-to-head league. Madison scored 28, McInnes scored 88. So I'm burning right now with McInnes. Look, he's just getting the minutes. He's getting the minutes. Rudolph is sort of growing into more minutes as he comes back from his injury. But, I mean, they've got Wade Graham playing big minutes too. You can trust him right now. Would I buy him? Yeah. The Cowboys will be a tough game. He'll make a lot of tackles. They shoot it up the middle. I think he's a great option. Absolutely. Jack DeBellin, we're not going to talk about him because he betrayed us. Corey Horsburgh, he got back to some bigger minutes this week, but still only a 49-point game. He feels like he's a bit on the slide. If I had excessive trades, would I trade him? Maybe. I mean, it's the Dogs this week. It's a weak pack, right? And that could work for him. He could pop through for a break or a try. He scored a few of those this year. It could also mean he gets a rest because they've got quite a few capable reserve middle forwards on that bench. So Horsburgh's a bit sus right now. Dylan Brown is cheeky. And look, if Parramatta were really in finals contention, I don't really believe they are. And that's as a Para fan, I'm a bit upset about it. But look, the Roosters is not a bad matchup this week. I believe it's Storm next week, and they have a bye in round 27. So you're not going to grab Dylan Brown at this point, but he's kind of cheeky. DCE was one where people were talking about trading him out the last couple of weeks. I have to talk a few of you out of it. So if you're watching this, you're welcome. 88 points. There he is. I had him in my little loophole slot, actually, last week. So I didn't trust him against Penrith. I put him in that loophole slot. I moved up some red dots and I got his score, but he played in that first game of the round. I thought, Penrith could demolish him. But Manly turned up in that game, and him and Garrick both scored well enough to be in my 17. So with DCE, look, the Warriors is not a tough game, but DCE scores well in those games a lot of the time. He doesn't really score below 40. Start him happily. Bryce Cartwright, he came back to earth, 33 points, and look, Para looking pretty dodgy. If you brought Cartwright in, I think he'll keep going. Like Andrew Davies, not a threat to his minutes. Sean Lane could be back next week. Parra also could just shut everything down a bit. Cartwright might just keep getting those minutes. Look, he's sus just with how bad Parramatta were last year and the risk that they make changes. But you got to go with your gut in this one. You got to go with your gut. I didn't bring him in, but if I had him, I might just ride or die on the pod. Cam Murray, 46 points last week. He sort of bounced up and he got us a few 60-point games. He had a couple of tries in there, which was... he sort of feels like he's a bit of a 40 scorer right now. 761, he plays this week against Newcastle. It's not a bad matchup by any means. I think he'll go fine. But he's a guy that I would be pretty open to trading next week. And if I was thinking about finals for head-to-head, I might take the gamble this week holding Payne Haas and sell Murray next week. That's what I'm thinking. Could lose you a game this week, though. It's all or nothing right there. But I think you got a few too many Souths players if you're like me to be worrying about Payne Haas when this is coming up next week. Fanua Blake, love it. 76 points. He's pumping it. He's got Manly this week. Manly's pack is fragile right now. Guys like we've got Paseka is out hurt. We've got Matt Lodge out hurt. Their middles are very fragile right now. So Fanua Blake could absolutely burst through. I'm probably thinking he's a better buy than Tino this week. Now, Tino's the better fantasy player, but I just like the matchup. And I like the fact that the Warriors are going to the finals right now and they're fighting for that top 4 spot. In fact, I'm going to go out with it. Fanua Blake, buy of the round for when we're talking about those pods that are sub 10% owned. He's 9.8%, so he just counts. Tarpanay. And Tarpanay was on the sell list about a month ago. His minutes have been dodgy. Sell. The minutes aren't there. He could score well against Canterbury. If you want to back that, he might get some attacking stats, but I'm not into it. Cam Munster versus St. George. That's hot. That's actually another buy option. He could go huge. That's a cheeky captaincy option for you if you want to go Cam Munster or Fanua Blake. They're very cheeky options because you got Cam Munster and then you've also got next on this list because we skip Pappenhausen, but he could be in the conversation soon. Harry Grant versus St. George, and look, they got Frank Molo back this week, but they're missing Jack DeBellin and they're missing a couple of other forwards. So Harry Grant could put on a cheeky show here. He's probably not going to score below 45 at any point, and he could potentially boost up to a big score. So I probably don't trust him enough to captain him this year, but he's definitely a starter. Jerome Hughes, he was on our pod list a while ago, and he's just absolutely killed it since then. He had that 100-point game. He's had a 60. I'm not buying him right now. I don't rate the base. I think he's such a talented player, but there's so many guys at the Storm that are taking those stats. So he's got to play really well to get to a 60, whereas Cam Munster sort of just has to play a normal game and he can get there. Latrell Mitchell, you're not buying him right now. You're not selling him. Newcastle are good, but they aren't a defensive juggernaut. So with Latrell, you're happy with that. You're probably not captaining him unless you're totally insane. And I'm going to skim past some of these guys. Look, Nat Butcher, we don't talk about him too much, but he's killing it. Parramatta kind of suck right now. He could be another pod, actually, if you want to go crazy. But they got Gus Crichton on the bench, so not into it. Lomax back from injury. Croker is there. John Bateman, he's dropping cash at 55. He's got Dolphins this week. The Dolphins are missing everyone. So when we're talking about John Bateman, Isaiah Papali'i, they're very interesting guys this week. You have to start them. To be honest, actually, John Bateman's another one who could be a cheeky captaincy option against the Dolphins. You're just relying on those attacking stats. That's the thing. And yeah, I've talked myself into it. I've got a draft league where I have Fifita, Cook, Bateman, Burton, a few of those guys. I'll be captaining Bateman in that league. Whether I do it from a classic team, probably not, but actually I might. I'll let you know. Tyson Frizzell, he got a rest. He rested the last 15 minutes last week. Dan Gagai, 73 points. He's the man. He's the man. He's that guy. If you can get him, we've been saying get him for ages. So you either have him or you don't. Moses is out for the season, and the disrespect. They say out for the season for Moses. It's a 6-week injury. There's 3 weeks left of the season, 3 weeks of finals, then the grand final. So what if Para made the grand final without Moses? He wouldn't be up for the season. Anyway, the disrespect of the media. Not that we are making the grand final, but it was pretty funny. James Tedesco, look, Parramatta are a pretty soft opponent, and I think they've got the Tigers next week or someone like that as well. So you stick with him. You keep riding that. He could go well in that game. Ola Kawatu, he's going all right. Preston is out as well. What was Preston's deal? He got banned. I think it was a suspension this week, or it might be HIA. I can't even remember now. Ben Hunt, no. Sorensen, I'm not buying him now, but if I had him, I might keep him. Damien Cook, he's got that bye next week. If you want to sell, you can sell. Tohu Harris is going pretty good. If you have him, have him. If you don't, you don't. Ryan Madison, oh my God, 28, 26, 27, 28, 26. I don't know if you can sell him. Like 676K, it's not a lot of money. If you can do something with Madison and another guy who's disappointing you, if you can go Madison and Cook to Cleary and someone or something like that, I can see it. But yeah, Maddo, that's disappointing. He probably goes back to normal though. Like if Hopgood especially plays on the edge, a lot of minutes in the middle are opened up. Yeah, I'm probably going to hold him at this point. I think he's a hold. Reynolds by Papali'i, he'll go off this week. He'll go very big this week if you want a pod. It could be a captain option as well. I just reckon the Dolphins are going to leak a lot. Like they've got Hamaso's out, Lemuelu's out, Felice Kafusi's in doubt with an ankle, Ray Stone's out, Jerry Marshall King's out. There's just a lot of guys missing from that team. They'll fight hard, but they're not it. Mazu's that guy. Garrick, 50 points getting Penrith. He's matchup proof. That's it. He's got the Warriors this week. It's tough, but he'll do it. And then look, the rest of the list, like Nikora was on the bottom of my list for those edge back rower options, and Cronulla have been crap, and he's sort of fallen off too. Brian Toe is kind of cheeky. If you want, like he's not going to play round 17. He's cheeky. Gutho, Para, not going great. Joey Manu, he's got some good matchups coming up. I'd hold on to him. Matty Burton, dogs have fallen off the wagon. Fodawaker's back this week. Fodawaker's been killing it. That's not great news for Tino as well. And then look, I think they're the guys. Like Luciano's had some games here and there. Tomoko, 21 points, not great. Sarko, 51. He just keeps getting it done. Laurie, I thought he might kick on a bit more. He's going okay, but 43 last week is not the best with the guys they were missing. And then look, Max King, he posted a 38. We thought he might do a bit more. Adam Elliott's finally kicking on. That's really weird. Jesse Ramian's killing it. Look, they're the guys. That's NRL Fantasy for this week. So let me know in the comments if you have any specific questions. Happy to help with those. But that's a bit of a different iteration of buy, hold, sell for you guys. And best of luck with your head-to-head finals. Best of luck with your overalls. It's been a pleasure doing this for you guys this year. Love you all.